The moment Margot said these words, I think the sun is a flower that blooms for just an hour. The children, or one of the boys, protested. He says, "Oh, you didn't write that." This is the introduction to the children. Those children, her classmates who are jealous of her for the reasons that I've discussed earlier already. So, one of these boys who dislikes her tells her, "Oh, you did not write that." "I did," said Margot, "I did." So the moment Margot finished talking, this boy said, "Oh, there's no case you can write this beautiful thing." But Margot said, "No, I did write it." The teacher intervened immediately. "William." So William is the name of the boy who protested this time. "But that was yesterday." The teacher understands that the children have a sort of bias, prejudice, out of which jealousy is born. So the teacher tries to stop that over there. The author takes back to us and says, "But that was yesterday." Now the rain was slackening and the children were crushed in the great thick windows. So the author is bringing us back to today, the event when the sun is actually going to come out. Now at this moment the rain is slackening. To slacken is to slow down. And the children were crushed. To be crushed against something or near something is to gather densely, to come into a crowd close. "Where's the teacher?" Somebody from the group said, "Oh, where's the teacher?" The other answered, "She'll be back." "She'd better hurry, we'll miss it," another child said. They turned on themselves like a feverish wheel, all tumbling spokes. So all these children, very excited for this moment when the sun is going to come out. So they are inquiring if the teacher is there, and somebody says, "Oh, don't worry, she'll be back in a bit." And some that are very eager, they said, "Oh, we wish that she comes back in time, otherwise we'll lose time here." So they've all turned on themselves. They've all become like feverish wheel. Feverish wheel is nothing but having come together so close, like a wheel that's condensed in the center, all tumbling spokes. As if an entire club of something, an entire group or a groove of something that is rolling over this earth. Margot stood alone. Another spot where you can see that there is distinction. They are all together, and Margot stands alone most of the time. She was a very frail girl. Frail means thin and delicate looking. She was a very frail girl who looked as if she had been lost in the rain for years, and the rain had washed out the blue from her eyes and the red from her mouth and the yellow from her hair. Here yellow means the golden shine in the hair. We see most people in the West have that color in the hair. So Margot has been described to us as a girl who has been washed of happiness. There is nothing like that human glamour in her anymore. The blue from her eyes isn't there. The redness in her mouth isn't visible, which means she looks pale. And the golden color from her hair isn't visible because it's very dark. She was an old photograph, dusted from an album, whitened away. And if she spoke at all, her voice would be a ghost. So what's the presence of Margot like? It's nothing but just like an old photograph. You look at the old photograph, it doesn't help you visit the memory anymore. It's just a remnant of you, something that remained over there, just a piece of you. It's not full of you. So she was nothing more than a photograph, an old photograph that is dusted in the album. It has lost its color. That's why it's described as whitened away. And if ever she spoke in her very low voice, it felt only like a ghost's whisper. Now she stood, separate, staring at the rain and the loud wet world beyond the huge glass. The bias is visible, even how they are standing. So she's standing there alone, and as she looks out of the window, William tells her. He says, "What are you looking at?" As if he is shouting at her in all the hatred. Margot said nothing. "Speak when you are spoken to," William says angrily. It irritates people, right? When you shout at them, when you are angry with them and they don't respond, even silence hurts. Silence is hurting William, so he shouts and says, "You must answer when you are said something." He gave her a shove. S-H-O-V-E. Shove is nothing but a push. As you walk by someone and you hit your shoulder against someone purposely to hit them. That's what he did. But she did not move. Rather, she let herself be moved only by him and nothing else. Margot did not step back. She stood there firm, very firmly, indicating that I am not budging. I am not scared of you. Even if you have hatred towards me, be it, but I am not wrong. I might be different than you, but you have no reason to hate me like that. They edged away from her. They would not look at her. Now from William, the description is extended to the entire group of children. To edge away from someone is to walk away in a group. So they all walked away from her without even looking at her, without even noticing her presence. It was like she was a no one for them. She felt them go away. And this was because she would play no games with them in the echoing tunnels of the underground city. Now why did they behave with her like that? Because she was different. Because she was more sad than all others. Yes, others were excited to see the sun, but they were not missing the sun as much as Margot was missing. Therefore, Margot would be most of the time very sad. Her sadness did not allow her to play with them when they would go to play games in the echoing tunnels. The tunnels would certainly be huge and thick-walled, as I said earlier, and it would be underground because children need a play area. So they would construct underground tunnels where children can play. If they tagged her and ran, she stood blinking after them and did not follow. To tag her, we know the tic-tac and other games. You're tagged and then it's your turn to chase others. So when they would play with her, somehow convince her to play, and they would tag her and they would run away, she wouldn't chase. She would stand there like a pillar, blinking lifelessly, because she would be sad. She's devastated and feels lifeless over here. When the class sang songs about happiness and life and games, her lips barely moved. She wasn't participative because she had constant and huge missing of her normal life back on earth. Only when they sang about the sun and the summer did her lips move as she watched the drenched windows. The only thing that bothered her hugely was the absence of the sun. So whenever the children would be singing about the sun and the presence of it, that is when she would enjoy it the most. And that's when barely she would make an attempt to participate, to sing along with them.